So today's video is going to be one of my first videos on a new series I'm going to call Teacher's Cafe. So Teacher's Cafe is going to be like a casual video or informal video. You can notice that my setup is different, the lighting is not up to par, and you're probably going to see me drinking something. Grab yourself a cup of something. I have green tea lemonade ice because it's really hot outside. Go ahead and grab yourself something to drink and let's just have a discussion on any topic of interest that you want me to cover. Go ahead and leave me a comment down below. Today's topic is going to be classroom setup. And I apologize for the lighting because it's already evening. I came back from work. I came in for my first day of setup actually, and the lighting is pretty bad. So without further ado, let's continue with classroom setup. So tip number one is to come up with a plan. So whether you decide to go into work earlier or whether you decide to wait for that very first day that you're assigned to go into work, it really helps to develop a plan and make a list. You can have a mental list, or you can make your list on an iPad or on a notepad. Having a list is going to help you be less overwhelmed when you go in the first day. So let's say you go in the first day. You're not really going to know the condition of your classroom. Sometimes over the summer, custodians will wax or shampoo the floors, or if they're carpets anyway, and they'll take everything out of your classroom or move it off to the side, and maybe it'll get put back into place exactly the way you left it, and maybe it won't. I know for me, when I came in, and this is not unusual, like the desks were toppled over and I had desks on top of desks and chairs all over the place, and that's normal for me. So I was really happy that I had that list, so that way I wasn't overwhelmed. I knew what my starting point was going to be, so I was able to just go ahead and get my desks upright and into position the way I wanted to have them. So having that goal and list will really help. So I came up with a list that I wanted to share with you. This is not the list that I use, but there are things that you definitely want to consider, especially if you're a new teacher. So here is what I came up with. I came up with, let's think the umbrella topic is classroom setup. Under that topic, you're going to want to consider the layout of your classroom, library, and your bulletin boards, and this is just a few of them. For layout of the classroom, I came up with a sub list of things that I was going to have to work on. My teacher desk, because that's really important, don't neglect that. Some of us don't even use teacher desks, but if you do, you want to set that up. Student desks, classroom library, as well as bulletin boards. Once I came up with that list, I chose those items, and then I came up with a list of things I was going to need to get or purchase in order to make it happen. So under teacher desk, I wrote I was going to need pens, sticky notes, and a mouse pad. For the library goal, I wrote down I was going to have to consider location, storage, labels, and books. On my blog spot, I have an entire post on organizing your classroom library, and I sectioned it off into those 4 categories to help you navigate it. And you can go visit that post, and I'll leave a link down below to it so you can go ahead and see that for yourself. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with that, but for example, for storage, I wrote I was going to need to buy bins. So now when I go to the store, I can go buy the pens, the sticky notes, the mouse pad, the bins, and whatever else I generate as I make this list. Tip number 2 is going to be to go into your room with your materials. So now that you've generated this list and you know what you need to get and what you need to purchase, get all of that before you walk into the first day of setup. That also includes I don't know what you call it, but it's like that mounting, like the gummy stuff that helps you stick things on the wall, and it's not tape. It's either blue or gray, and I can't remember what it's called. But also make sure you get that, and you get mounting hooks. Make sure you have tape, make sure you have staples, because there's nothing like starting a project and not like having to stop midway because you don't have everything that you need. So just make sure that you consider that. Okay, so now once you go into your classroom, you have your plan and you have your list written down somewhere, and you have your materials ready, the first thing you should do is go into that classroom and make a list on the whiteboard. Now, this is something that my colleagues do. I do this. We like to make lists on the whiteboard because it's a really big visual. And you can see this list from far away, and you don't have to carry this list everywhere because you can see it no matter where you are in your classroom. So go ahead and write your list on the board of things that you want to do, and then cross them out as you get them done to help you know that you're actually being productive. And if you don't feel like you're crossing out a lot, maybe, you find yourself like, I guess distracted with other things, no matter what it is, if it's talking to someone or just not doing what's on the list, you can kind of remember, draw yourself to that list and say, okay, that's right, I need to get this done, and then cross it off when it gets done. The third tip is volunteers. So before you go in, even if you're a new teacher, call in and ask the secretary. Say, do you have any volunteers available to come in on this date? Or you can say, are there any volunteers that are willing to come in that we can contact? Sometimes during the summer break, there are high school volunteers looking to get those hours in. So call ahead to see if there's someone available. For me, I had established with my colleague that her daughter was going to come in to help me. Her daughter came in on the last day of school, or I think the last week of school, and she helped me with some end of the year things. And this girl was so good. I mean, so I started her with organizing a section of my closet. And I'm telling you, when I walked into my closet after she was done, I felt like I was in extreme closet makeover. It looked so good. And I was like, gosh, you have such a keen eye for organization. She was amazing. And so I talked to her mom, and her mom was like, she needs some hours. And we came up with a time to meet over the summer, and that was today. So today I knew I was able to, to have her help me with those like more fine detailed tasks, which brings me to this topic. When it comes to volunteers, you need to have a to-do list for them. Prepare that ahead of time, because that's going to take up your time. If you're not ready with that to-do list, you're going to sit there and waste minutes from your time trying to come up with a list, writing it out for them. Do that ahead of time so you can just have them get started. I would suggest starting them with like the simple tasks. So maybe it's like sorting materials, or let's say it's like stapling like small packets. Have them do that first and kind of get an eye for their work ethic and what they're really good at. And you can just kind of like enhance it as you move on to the next thing in your list. That way you can figure out what it is that they can do. What you don't want to have happen is to give them like a really like detailed task that they might mess up and that will make you freak out. So make sure you avoid that, and then kind of gauge to see what they're really good at, and then use them according to their strengths. The fourth tip is going to be the toolbox. So the toolbox is something that I came up with at the end of last year. Now, I kept having volunteers, like new volunteers coming in throughout the year, and every time I'd have to say, okay, my stapler's over here, the crayons are over there, and they weren't remembering where everything was naturally because it was my classroom, so I knew where everything was. So by the end of the year, I was like, this is it. I have to have a central location for these items. So get a basket, a box, get a bag, and put a stapler, put all kinds of tape in there, put staple removers, or one staple remover, put staple refills, color pencils, put whiteout. Anything you think a volunteer might need will go into that bin. So that way they're in one central location and they're not going to interrupt you every time they need something and they don't remember where it is. So put it there and have that ready. That brings me to my final tip. So at the end of the day, I looked around my classroom and I was really happy because I did accomplish a lot with my volunteer in terms of setting up. But I looked around and I was like, oh my goodness, I have a huge mess. So I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I could just walk out right now. I'm already tired. Or I can tidy up now so that way when I come in during pre-service week, I'm not going to feel overwhelmed. because I have a mess on top of a mess on top of a mess. So I went around and I picked up scraps of paper, I picked up trash, and I kind of left like an organized mess. So think about like your teacher desk. Sometimes it gets really messy, but it's organized because you know where everything is. So that's kind of how I left my room. And that way when I come in the next time during pre-service week, I'm not going to feel overwhelmed. I can just go ahead and get started with the next goal that I have on my list, which would be my classroom library. And my classroom library, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be labeling everything. I have to insert the labels, and what else do I have to do? It's not on this list, it's on another list that I made. But, you know, I'll be able to just go ahead and get started. Also, with that toolbox, make sure your volunteer or even you can go around your classroom and get your stapler, get your tape, get your whiteout, because surely during the day, all of that's going to get dispersed throughout your classroom. So that way when you come in the next day, all your items will be in that central location, and you can put it on top of your teacher desk, and you're good to get started as soon as you walk in. Make sure you comment down below with the next topic you would like for me to cover, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye! Thank you so much for watching this video. Please comment down below and don't forget to click the subscribe button. I also have a Teachers Pay Teacher store and a blog spot, so go check those out. I'll have all the links down below for you. Just click on show more. Till next time guys, bye!